Good evening. I hope you're doing well. In today's video, we'll continue to use price action to take informed decision in indexes and stocks. And the stocks that I would like to cover today, the stock that I would like to cover today is LIC Housing Finance. Obviously, the biggest beneficiary of the GST implementation is insurance companies, and LIC Housing Finance recently announced that on the single day of 22nd September, they accrued more than 1100 crore rupees of sales, which is obviously good for that stock. Which is good for the stockholder, investors of the stock on paper at least. So since we have this news, we are also using this as an opportunity to assess this stock. And what we are looking at is we are looking to repeat our process of assessment. That is, we'll take the stock and set it up on the monthly time frame. And the only thing that we'll focus on is what was the previous high doing, and to check its relation with the previous high. And what we basically see is that while there is a new life high created here, which means there is an all-time high, which means our bias is going to be up, it is closer to being a double top, at least on the monthly time frames, than it is to a trend. In other words, there is no doubt that the bias on the stock is long side, but the question is regarding the strength of the trend or even the presence of one. So I would think that currently this is a stock which is ranging with a long bias, and it could have the potential of trending. And how would I trade this stock? The thing is that once we are in a stock with such weak patterns, we have to look at immediate tactical solutions in order to take positions on that stock. The bias is clear that we are looking on long side bias, and we are looking for opportunities or tactical confirmations in order to take positions. And one immediate such confirmation, of course, is the presence of this inside day candle on the monthly, which has its confirmation the subsequent month. The presence of this candle in itself basically makes 484 an exceptionally good stop loss, while the stock is currently priced 80 rupees above it at 564. So logically, because we have put this on a range with a long bias, if that's the case, the target for such a trade will obviously be the previous high, that is close to 800. In other words, the monthly charts itself are offering such an easy trade setup on this particular stock that you enter at, let's say, 560. This is purely looking at monthly charts with a stop loss of 480. And the reason for the stop loss is that there is an inside day candle which is confirmed, and it is at least a tactical confirmation. There is at least some confirmation here. So you enter at 560 with an 80 rupee stop loss, and obviously you go for at least a 250 point target. So this is just on the monthly itself, we are getting a 3:1 target in the current setup by basis of a candlestick, and I think it looks quite interesting. We'll continue with the process. We'll just have a look at the weekly charts to see if we can spot anything interesting. And what we can see is the manner of the breakdown that took place at the previous high with this breakaway gap. And it looks like the earlier target that we set at 850, a better target is actually this gap resistance. But I would add that if this stock reaches this particular gap resistance, it is going to form perhaps inverted head and shoulders along the way. So it's becoming all of a sudden very interesting. It's looking quite interesting actually, to take up a very, very deep positional trade, which means deep positional trade means you plan to hold them for a longer time, and therefore you will allocate very less quantity. You'll allocate less quantity because your stop loss is obviously 80 rupees away. Nonetheless, the weekly charts don't really demonstrate anything too exciting. And on the daily, there is nothing significant here. There's nothing too significant except the fact that currently it's correcting, and we are still waiting for a confirmation. I think for this particular stock, the intuition, I think what I felt right away is just this inside day candle, which looks like a good discretionary tool to base a trade on this stock. Of course, I speak from the perspective of taking a trade, because whenever I'm analyzing a stock, I'm always looking at it from the perspective of taking a trade. It does not mean that I will go and take the trade, and neither should you. All we are doing is using these videos as a forum to think out loud and exchange ideas or notes based on charts. There are obviously tens of thousands of charts, and it is your responsibility to analyze them, rank them, and then choose the chart which is best for you. So if you like trading inside day candles, I can guarantee you this is not the only chart which is forming this. But there could be stocks which have created higher highs than this one, making it stronger contenders for holding on to it. Since we are only discussing the stock in news, we are limited by the scope of the news itself. With that, I think I've given an adequate disclaimer that these videos are indeed for education, and their utility is beyond that 80 rupee trade. Anyways, with that, thank you for your time. I wish you all the best.